today. Today we're going to be doing Whitelock 5th grade lesson 6, round large numbers. So round each number to the nearest million. So number 1, we could see this as 6,123,478. So if we're rounding to the nearest million, we're going to be wanting to look at the millions place. So this is the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, and then this is the millions. So we're only looking at the 6 here, and then the number after it. And since it's 4 or less than 4, this would just round to 6 million. Number 4. This is pretty much the same thing as number 1, where we look at the millions place and then we determine whether the next number would make this one round up or round down. Or, I mean, round up or stay the same. So we look at the 1, which is in the millions place, then look at the number after, which is in 9. And since this is greater than 4, we would eventually, or we would turn the 1 into 2 because we would round it up. So this would turn into 2 million. Round each number to the nearest billion. Now, this question is essentially the same as above, but rather than rounding to the millions, we're now rounding to the billions. So now let's count our places again. So this is the ones, tens, 100s, 1000s, 10,000s, 100,000s, 1 millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, and 1 billion. So we know that in this case, the 8 is what we're rounding to. So we look at the 8 and then what's on the right. And since it's less than 4, we would round this to just 278 billion. Same thing for number 5. We identify the billions place, which is this the hundreds, thousands, millions, and this the billions. So this 7 is what we're looking at. And then we look at the number after 3, that's less than 4, so we would just keep it the same. So this would become 957 billion. Round to the place of the underlined digit. So for number 2, we could round to the 2 here, in which if we look at this, we look at the number that comes after, which is 1. And eventually we'll know that the 1 will make the 2 stay the same, so this would just turn into 7,200. And number 5, in this case, we'll round to the 1 here, so that's the 100,000s place. And we look at the number after, which is an 8, and since it's above 4, we would round up to 2, so it would become 200,000. And now for 7, we're going to be looking at this 1 here. So we know this is in the 100,000s place. And we look at the number after, which is 7. And then that means that we would round this 1 up to a 2. So this would become 47,200,000. Now problem solving. Okay, so estimate. Another encyclopedia contains 6,315 articles. If the average article is 2,000 words long, how many words are there in the encyclopedia to the nearest million words? Okay, so we know that another encyclopedia contains 6,315 articles. So there's 6,315 articles. And then the average article is 2,000 words long. So this means that we would have to multiply 2,000 by 6,315. We could essentially do this by, since we know that 2,000, it has 3 zeros here, we could multiply 6,315 by 2 and then add the zeros after. So we could do this, solve 6, 3 times 2 6, 6 times 2 is 12, and then we could add the 3 zeros that we didn't add for here onto here. Okay, so we got 12,630,000 words. And then since it's asking us to round to the nearest million words, we need to look at the millionth place, which is the 2 here, and then look at the number after, which is 6. And we could round this 2 to a 3, so it would eventually become 13 million. 13 million words. Okay, now we're rounding to the nearest million. Write the answers in short word form. So the first part of the question is to round to the nearest million. So here we'll identify where the millionth place is, in which we could tell that the hundreds, thousands, then the millions here. So the million would be the 2 in this case, and then if we look at the number that comes after 2, it's 6. So we would round the 2 up. So this would become 3 million. 3 million. But now that we have the number that's rounded, we need to write the answer in short word form. So in short word form, it would just become 3 million. So if we write that out, it is just the same, 3 million. Okay, now for number 4, same thing. Identify where the millions place is, in which it's the 8 in this case. And then we know that it's a 3 on the right side, so it would become 8 million. And then we could write it out to just be 8 million. Same for number 6, but in this case, there's a little more digits and places, so we need to identify the millions, in which it's the 4. The number that comes after is 7, which means that we do round up. So it would become 135 million. And if we write that in short word form, it'd be 135 million. Now we're rounding to the nearest billion and write the answers in short word form. So once again, it's going to be the same like the previous problems that we just did, but rather than rounding to the million, we're rounding to the nearest billion now. So identify the billions place here, which is the 8 in this case. We look to the right, we notice that it's not higher than 4, so it would become 178 billion. We look at number 5. We look at number 5. The billionth place is the 8 here. And then we know that 2 makes it round, not up, so it just stays the same, which it just becomes simply 8 billion.